I hadn't planned on seeing them that day. I'd stopped by the dealership because my assistant was out sick and the service reminder wouldn't stop blinking on the dashboard. I parked in the far corner, the habit of someone who never learned to take up space on purpose. I wore what I always wore on errands: flat shoes, dark jeans, a soft jacket that had seen better years. Nothing that announced anything. The showroom smelled like leather and citrus polish. Bright, controlled, quiet in a way that felt expensive. I liked it there. I liked places where order didn't depend on who raised their voice the loudest. I was reading a spec sheet when I felt it, that familiar prickle between the shoulders. The sense of being watched by people who already thought they knew me. My brother laughed first. Loud, performative. "Well, this is unexpected," he said. "Hair to clean. All you can do here is drool." The words landed cleanly, like he'd practiced them. He always did better with an audience. I turned. My parents stood behind him, that frozen in that particular posture they adopted when something embarrassing was happening, but they weren't sure yet who would be embarrassed in the end. My father's hands were clasped too tightly in front of him. My mother's mouth was slightly open, as if she'd been about to say my name and decided against it. They looked exactly as they always had when we ran into each other in public, prepared to reinterpret me through whatever context best preserved their sense of order. The brother who succeeded, the daughter who wandered. I felt the old reflex twitch, the urge to explain, to justify, to prove, gently, politely, that I wasn't what he was implying. I let it go. I smiled, not sharply, not sweetly, just enough to acknowledge that I'd heard him. For a moment, no one spoke. A salesman nearby pretended to rearrange brochures. Somewhere deeper in the building, a door closed with a soft, echoing click. My brother waited for a reaction that didn't come. His grin tightened. "Relax," he added, waving a hand. "It's a joke. It always was." I turned back to the spec sheet, given him my profile. I could feel my heartbeat, steady and surprisingly calm. I'd imagined this moment before, not this exact place, but the shape of it. The test of whether I would reach backward into old roles or stay where I was. Footsteps approached. "M's Ramen." The manager's voice was precise, apologetic in a way that suggested routine rather than alarm. I looked up. He was already halfway into a small bow, the kind people don't perform unless they mean it. "I'm very sorry for the wait," he said. "Your VIP room has been reserved as always. We're ready whenever you are." The word always did the work. Not loudly. Completely. My brother's laugh cut off mid-breath. My father didn't move at all. He looked like someone whose internal map had been redrawn without permission. My mother inhaled sharply and held it. "Oh," I said, folding the paper carefully. "Thank you." The manager gestured toward a frosted glass door I'd passed 100 times without drawing attention to. A private corridor beyond it. Quiet, separate. "Would you like refreshments brought in?" he asked. "Water is fine," I said. "Still." He nodded and stepped aside, waiting. I didn't look at my family as I walked past them. I didn't need to. Their silence had weight now. It pressed against my back more firmly than any insult ever had. Inside the VIP room, the air was cooler. Softer. The glass muted the showroom into shapes and motion without sound. I sat down, smoothed my jacket, and placed my phone on the table face down. Only then did I feel it, the small, delayed tremor in my hands. Not triumph. Something closer to grief. When I was younger, I'd believed recognition would feel like warmth, like a door opening. I hadn't imagined it would feel like distance snapping into place. The manager returned with water and an apology that wasn't necessary. We spoke briefly about the service schedule. Efficient. Professional. Nothing that would make a story worth telling later. When I stepped back out, my family was still there. My brother avoided my eyes. He'd shifted his weight, restless, suddenly unsure where to put his hands. My father cleared his throat, then didn't speak. My mother finally exhaled. "We didn't know," she said, quietly. I nodded. "I know. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't accusation, just fact." My brother opened his mouth, then closed it. For the first time I could remember, he seemed aware of an audience he didn't control. "I said," No one stopped me. Outside, the light was harsher, less forgiving. I sat in my car with the engine off and rested my forehead against the steering wheel for a few seconds longer than necessary. Being seen, I realized, didn't undo the years of being misjudged. It didn't rewrite childhood dinners or soften the way my brother learned to speak to me. It didn't suddenly make my parents curious about the life I'd built quietly, on purpose, without applause. But it did something else. It ended the argument. I drove away without looking back. The service reminder blinked once, then disappeared.